dwells in our soul. The last words of Richard Ramirez, American serial killer, rapist, and burglar. Inside our soul is the capability of being a killer. The nature versus nurture debate is one I'm sure you will all heard of. Nature being psychology and DNA, nurture being the way you're brought up. So what influences criminal behaviour? When reading about influences of crime, to me the most striking factors that make a serial killer are genetics, family and psychology. So the first is genetics. I watched a TED talk by Jim Fallon and he explained his research into the mind of a killer. He analysed the brains of psychopathic killers, including Ted Bundy. These PET scans were part of his research and they show a major pattern. Every killer's brain that he had analysed had damage to the orbital frontal cortex, the part of the brain just above the eye, which controls emotions, memory and decision making. Fallon suggests that serial killers lack the ability to manage their emotions, therefore leading them to kill out of rage. Also explained by Jim Fallon is the MAOA gene. You may have seen this recently in an episode of Riverdale, explained as the serial killer gene. Well, it is in fact the gene that causes violence and aggression, and it is found in everyone, although stronger in men. Jim Fallon found that serial killers actually contain a defect of this gene, which leads someone to being overly abusive. The MAOA gene is found in X chromosomes, so think back to GCSE biology. Females have 2 X chromosomes, so if one contains this defect, it's almost always going to be cancelled out by the other normal X chromosome. However, if a man has this defect, it won't be cancelled out as men carry an X and a Y chromosome. This is the reason that women are extremely unlikely to become a serial killer. In fact, only 16% of women are serial killers. Serial killers are women, sorry. Jim Fallon researched DNA of serial killers, but also his own family members. He found that some of his family possessed this defect too, and it led him to question why his family weren't showing characteristics that a serial killer would. This leads me on to my second point, the family. What effect does someone's upbringing have on their behaviour? John Scripps. This is a serial killer case I find particularly interesting, and it really helps to explain the sociological factors affecting behaviour. Scripps' father had committed suicide and he was the one to find his body. Ainsworth is a criminologist who explains that almost all serial killers will have undergone some kind of childhood trauma. This trauma festers away and it becomes almost a fantasy of getting revenge. The traumatic events that people undergo are highly likely to cause or resurface mental illness, bringing me on to my final point of psychology. Psychopathy is a personality disorder like schizophrenia. It is almost always permanent and it is a chemical and genetic defect in the brain. A psychopath has a complete lack of empathy, and this is almost the entire reason a serial killer is able to kill masses without feeling remorse. Ted Bundy was a known psychopath, and these pictures of him laughing were taken at various trials of his, which really illustrates a lack of empathy and remorse. So the nature versus nurture debate, it is not a question of which one solely influences criminal behaviour. Instead, modern research makes it clear to us that both nature and nurture are interlinked factors which determine the killer amongst us. Thank you.